This cheap Ziploc bag can help save your equipment if you're like me and you ever go out and shoot in really cold weather. Hey, if you don't know me, my name's Jake and I create content here on YouTube for solo creators on the go. People like me who are on the go creating commercial content or stuff for here on YouTube. And so I test and review equipment here in Alaska, and I do tips and tutorials on how to use that equipment to tell better stories. On today's Friday 5 Minutes to Better Filmmaking and Photography, I want to show you one of the cheapest, most inexpensive ways that you can protect your gear when you're going out and shooting in really cold environments and then bringing your equipment back into really warm environments, probably because your fingers are frozen or your face is frozen, because it is now solidly winter here in Alaska. The last week, the average temperature at night at my house has been 0 or 1 degree, and the average high temperature at my house has been like 11 or 12, which is very cold. And while the cold provides really fantastic imagery if you go out and shoot in it, because you can get spectacular snow-covered mountains or frost-covered trees, it just provides a beauty that's unlike anything else. It does play a very hard role on your equipment. Now, while this equipment, at least my equipment, handles the cold fine when I'm out shooting in it, there is something that happens when you come back into a warm environment that can be very detrimental to your equipment, and that is humidity in the air condenses on the cold surface of the camera. Because you're out shooting in the cold, the camera ambient temperature ends up being whatever the air temperature is, maybe slightly warmer because it's working, but it is very cold. And then when you come back in, you have all this nice warm humid air that all of a sudden, as soon as that moisture in the air connects or contacts the surface of the camera, it condenses as moisture and settles onto the surface. That can be incredibly bad, especially if you don't have really well weather sealed lenses, because that moisture can settle on your sensor. But there is a simple trick to being able to get around that and protect your gear, and it's a simple Ziploc bag. Now, it doesn't have to be a Ziploc bag. You just want a waterproof, airtight container of some sort that will keep the moisture that's in the air inside away from your camera. The simple trick is that while you're outside, before you go inside, you want to take your camera and stick it into your Ziploc bag, just like this. And again, it doesn't have to be a Ziploc, it can be anything. Squeeze the air out, zip it up, so that you now have this sealed, airtight container. What that will do is, as soon as you walk inside, the moisture, because it is still moist inside and warm, will hit the Ziploc bag and will condense on the bag, but it will never go into the camera, and it allows your camera to warm up to room temperature slowly and safely without any moisture actually settling on the camera itself. The key is you have to put the camera in the bag and seal the bag while you are outside in the environment that you are shooting in, not after you come inside, because if you do it after you come inside, it's too late. There's also a pro tip, because if you're like me, you want to check out your footage as soon as you get inside and see what sort of imagery you shot. So take your SD cards out and stick them in your pocket before you seal it up, so that you can have access to those cards while your camera's warming up. Now, it only takes about an hour or so till your camera warms up. Basically, if you can grab the camera and it doesn't feel cold to your touch or cool to your touch, then you're good to go. Now you might say, but Jake, I was shooting with a telephoto lens that's way too big to fit in a Ziploc bag. That's okay. So long as you change the lens or take the lens off and put a body cap on before you go back into the warm environment, and then stick your camera body and or your lens into the sealed bag, you're gonna be fine. The key is that you wanna keep the camera in the conditions that you were shooting in while you put it in the sealed container or in the sealed bag, so that all the air, everything that's in that bag is matched to the camera. Because as the air gets colder, all of the moisture drops out of the air, hence we get frost. And so there's less moisture in the air that's very, very cold, which also is part of the reason why it makes such beautiful photos. But if you do this after you've come into a warm environment, it's basically not worth it, because you already have moisture condensating on the camera, even really before you can see it with your own naked eyes. Now, if you shoot in cold environments, tag me on Instagram or Twitter so that I can see some of your photos, because I would love to see the kind of work that you produce. I put together a playlist right here of other short videos just like this one, of easy tips you can use to improve your videography and photography. As always, if you have questions, ask me in the comments below, or join my live stream Wednesday nights, 4 p.m. Alaska time, 8 p.m. Eastern. I will see you again soon in the next video. Cheers.